So the ref show is a panel show very similar to Match of the Day, but where Match of the Day discusses the players' performances, the ref show discusses the referees' performances. So you've got 2 guests on there and 1 presenter. The presenter is sports pundit Alan Biggs, and the guests tend to range between ex-professional referees and ex-professional players. So you've got players like Gary Megson, Mark Lawrenson, Carl Palmer, Brian Dean, and ex-referees such as Mark Halsey, Roger Dilkes, all of them discussing on a Monday morning what has happened in the weekend's games, specifically what the referees have been up to.
I present the ref show, have done for a few years. There's always a bit of mickey taking and joking between members of the panel and myself, so that kind of sets the tempo, if you like. And it's all very professional here, and working with friendly professional people behind the scenes, and wondering at how it comes out looking so good.
I have opinions of referees. I have opinions about certain situations that referees make decisions on. And we try and work together to put it out there to the public of how it's perceived from both angles, i.e. the referee making the decision and the footballer having the decision made against him. You know, it's not always a clear-cut situation. Trying to pick out the rights and wrongs of the games of that weekend. We
created a pilot show for them to see whether or not the graphics and the background and the studio environment was what they were after, and they liked what we'd done, so we took it from there and been doing it for the last 2 to 3 years now. So when we first started doing it, we had created a virtual studio which we had used for the backdrop. Within that backdrop we had various different screens where we could highlight different referees or different players that would come up on screen. And the setup that we had back then was armchairs with a little coffee table in there to be a bit more relaxed. From then we've gone more towards the Match of the Day kind of style where everyone's kind of sat behind the table. When it comes to creating the ref show, we used the green screen that we've got in here in the background. Now, the benefits of that is that we can update the studio on a relatively quite regular basis. We create a virtual studio which we can then add into the background. So if they come back and say, oh, maybe this would be better if we had a bigger screen here, or these colours down here could change, it's not a matter of actually changing a physical set. We can go into the virtual studio, we can tweak these, we can get some feedback from them, and then we add that into the screen. It's very versatile, it's very flexible, and it allows us to do quite a lot of things with it and keep it updated on a relatively regular basis. The show is shot weekly, so we shoot that on a Monday morning. We want to talk about the matches from the weekend, so it needs to be as relevant as possible, so it needs to be turned around very, very quickly. We get the guys in about 9 o'clock. They discuss what events has happened at the weekend. That allows us to kind of set up around them to make sure the audio is fine, everything's fine with the visuals. Then they go for the show. We film the show on 3 cameras. That's then fed into a TriCaster, which is a vision mixer, and then we cut the show live. Once that's cut live, we then take that footage into post-production. We cut it up into all the different angles, and then we key out the background, add in the new background, and then add in all the relevant images of the referees or players from what they've been talking about. Once that's done, we then export that, and then we add in any sort of additional graphics, whether that's little lower thirds or anything to do with graphics. Do a quality control on that, make sure everything's okay, and then we get that uploaded. The process tends to take around about, say, 3/4 of the day from them arriving to it being filmed, to it being processed, to then being uploaded. The quicker we can get this out, the more relevant it is, the happier the client is. We'd like to think that we're quite good at turning this around in terms of this process. So those kind of skills are then transferable onto other projects. So we do other projects that have a similar kind of theme, and if the client is needed turning around very, very quickly, we can actually accommodate that quite well.